Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for joining. Hello. Hey, Funke. Happy birthday, Nares. Hope you had a lovely birthday. Funke, hope you had a lovely birthday. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 5. I think I kept wondering, was it 4 or 5? Episode 5. Sis, Lide, how now? How are you doing? Yes, it's episode 5. I kept thinking, is it 4, is it 5? And I'm sure in my post I said 4 or 5. OT, it's episode 5. Can you imagine? OT, we're on 5. We're on 5. We're on 5. We're on 5. Thank you everyone. Thank you for joining. I know, like, can you imagine? I kept thinking 4, 5, 4, 5. I think one post said 4, one said 5. Oh, my darling bro, Larry, you got the time right this time. Hello, sweetheart. How are you? Thank you, Larry, for joining me. It's so good to see everyone. It's episode 5 of Mom's Word. You know, I like the balance. I love doing young and strong, and then, you know, we kind of like flip it, and then suddenly we're doing Mom's Word. I know, OT, time sure flies. I know when we were thinking of doing this, and it's so amazing. You listen to the young people, and then you come and we begin to listen to the young people's perspective. I beg your pardon, to the mother's perspective about it. And it's so amazing. And I just want to say thank you to all the wonderful moms. Good afternoon, Larry. To all the wonderful moms, that have been coming. We've had my wonderful big sister Ofune Guam. She was the first one. She was one that was like, when I said I'm going to do this, she was like, yes, I'm going to come on. And then I had my lovely friend, big friend. Should I call her my big friend or my older friend? Anyway, we're more like sisters. Kemi, all the way from Indianapolis. She was on. And then I had Nova. I call her the Supernova. Supernova was on. And then my last episode was with my lovely sister Lady. And we were talking, and it's just amazing when you hear the moms talking about, especially when you have, moms that are straddling different cultures, and you have to balance this out. And you've got working moms, you've got business moms, you've got moms in ministry, and balancing, having to do this and then having to also make sure that your home is secure. You make sure that you're taking care of our young people, make sure that, our young people are developing. And I know it's not easy. I know that because I talk to all of you anyway. I know it's not easy, but I really want to salute all our moms. Fulola, hi. That's my lovely sister Fulola, and I just have to advertise her a bit. Fulola makes jewelries. You find her on Instagram at heartstrings_D. Fulola, did I get that right? Heartstrings_D. And she made this lovely bracelet that I'm wearing today. Yes, I'm advertising this lovely bracelet, and she's really good. So please check her out on heartstrings_D for bespoke jewelry. She's really good. Maketsi, hi, that's my brother. Thank you for joining me again today. As I'm waiting for my guest, I'm expecting Caroline to be joining us pretty soon. But for those who have joined us before now, do you have any highlights, anything that has really spoken to you? You've been on Young and Strong, and you've heard some of the things that we've discussed with the young people, or some of the things that we've talked about with the moms, especially the moms that are living abroad. I mean, I've had a mom from Nigeria, but who's had kids that she's brought up abroad. I have moms who are from the Caribbean who are bringing up their children, you know, in England. I have the Nigerian mom bringing up her children in America, and we always keep talking about, you know, balancing these cultures, making sure that, you know, you don't lose the traditions. And even when I'm talking to the young people, and quite enough of them have like African backgrounds or have the Caribbean backgrounds, and I'm like, so how do you make it work? And sometimes they talk about the way their moms, you know, how their moms have to balance this, how their moms still kind of like make sure that they don't lose that culture bit of it. And it's all been so exciting, and I love doing this. I mean, it's just usually the days I do it is that like the highlight of my day, and I love the conversations we're having, and I really hope that we're getting something out of it. I just don't want to come on a platform and say a lot of things and, you know, realize that after that it's not just a platform, and my platform is always for the people who are coming to talk. I'm not here to talk. I'm just waiting. The reason why I'm saying a lot of things is I'm waiting for Carol. I don't know where she is. Maybe I'm going to have to call her and ask her what's happening, you know, and just not for me to come and talk, but for me to listen to the different perspectives that we have, the perspectives that the parents have, the perspectives that the young people have about these things, you know, about life, about how they're navigating life, what is the wisdom that they're using, what are they tapping into, you know, for life, to get on with life. And even as mothers, how are you dealing with it? Do I have any mothers of young people on the platform at the moment? I know, Funke, you've got a teenager. I know, Lida, you've got 2 teens, you know, and even some people I mean, Oti, you've got at least 1 teen, I think, or preteen. Yes, you've got preteen. And I mean, how have you been dealing with it? How have you been able to balance the fact that they have their own ideals of life, they have their own thoughts, they have their own ideas of life, what life looks like, but you've been there, you've done that, and you want to pass on, you know, that wisdom that you have, without at the same time killing their dreams or coming on too strong, you know. So sometimes I wonder, I'm just going to try and give Caroline a quick call now and find out what's happening before she says she's forgotten. If she's forgotten, she's in trouble. Just to find out what's happening, and I'm sure at some point she's going to join us. So I hope she's not having any network issues, but I believe that by the grace of God, we're still going to go ahead and we're still going to have our little chit chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to bring somebody else. Rachel, how are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rachel, for joining me. It's good to see you. What he says, don't get me started. You give them love. They think we are choking them. Is that true? Well, the kids say sometimes we don't understand them, you know. They say sometimes, you know, we ourselves, we don't understand them. That sometimes the language, is it true? That language, Fola, hello. Thank you for joining me, Fola. It's good to see you. That's a lovely mom. I've been privileged to work with her sons, wonderful young men. Thank you so much, Fola. I'm still waiting, like I said, I'm still waiting for my guest. I'm waiting for Caroline, you know, and hopefully she'll join. Otherwise, I'm just going to hijack somebody. Cecilia, hi girl, how are you? I'm going to hijack one of the moms. And we're just going to have a conversation because this must go on. But yes, so they talk about the fact, like Ola said, yeah, it seems as if we're choking them. But really and truly, sometimes one of the things they've said is that sometimes the communication, is there a problem with communication? Is there a problem with, you know, what we say and what they hear, or what they hear and what we say? EJ, Coach EJ, hello. Oh, this is a lovely day. Where is my guest? She's MIA. Hello, Coach EJ. That's Ejiro. That's a wonderful coach. She's just amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm just doing a little bit of talk, just catch up, on what we've been doing before with my young people and with the moms and all that, as we're as we're waiting for Caroline. I can't seem to get her, so I said at some point I'm going to hijack one of the moms on the platform at the moment, and we're just going to have a conversation. Stabuki, hello, thank you so much, Stabuki, for joining. That's my big sister as well. Thank you so much for joining me as well. And so it's been interesting. I've had loads of fun. I've had laughs, good laughs, amazing laughs. I've had oops moments where they'll drop some things. I'm like, oh my gosh, we didn't really realize that as mothers. We didn't realize that as our generation. But we're learning. We're going to get there eventually. We're going to get to that place. I think the most important thing that I've been able to get out of this is the fact that communication is so important. It is so, you can't overemphasize it. And the fact that you need to build relationships. Relationships are not automatic by reason of the fact that you occupy a position. Because you're a mom doesn't mean that you have a relation. You automatically have that relationship with your child. And one of my young people, I think it was Ira, that said that thing, and that kind of like got to me. Hey Bobs, how you doing? He said, because you are my parent doesn't mean that you automatically have that relationship with me. Hello, Staduke, thank you so much for joining me. That's my mom. That's all I'm going to say about that. It doesn't mean you automatically, or do we think that by virtue of the fact that I'm your mom, that means I automatically have that relationship? No, Ira said you have to build it. I have to be able to trust you with the issues that you believe you have a right to talk to me about. And that really blew me, because I've always thought that if you're a parent, that automatically gives you the right to say some things. And it was like, no, because sometimes you would say it and I can't receive it, because they're kind of trying to understand from where are you saying that, and they've said so many amazing things. Yes, EJ, build a relationship. Don't assume a relationship because you occupy a position. Don't assume, because yes, Lide, we have to learn to build that bridge. Don't assume that because I'm the mom or because I'm the dad, therefore they have a relationship with me. They definitely speak different languages. I work with teenagers. Those of you that have teenagers know sometimes when they're talking, by the time they finish, sometimes I tell my teenagers, I say, okay, now that you finish talking, now let's speak English. Tell me what exactly you mean, and it's always interesting because the way they talk, and as far as they're concerned, they understand what they are saying, but sometimes we don't. And I have learned that sometimes it's not in what they say, it's in what they are not saying. It's in the things that we have to sometimes deduce from what they appear to be saying, but it's not actually literal. They're not literally saying what they need to say. I know it's tough. Young people are amazing. They're tough. But hey, what do? We've got to love them. I'm going to continually believe and continually just make the effort. And like I said, intentionally want to be a parent. You're not a parent because you gave birth to the child. You're a parent because you choose to be a parent. You choose to be a mom. You're not a mom just because we had the child. You're a mom because you made the choice to be a mom. Because people have kids. We all know that people have kids. But how many people parent their children in the sense of the word? Okay, I'm not sure what's happening with Caroline. So I'm going to see if I can get somebody who's going to jump on and who's going to be willing to have a discussion. Hello, Coach Talks. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining me. We're having an interesting conversation today. I don't know, my guest is currently MIA, missing in action. So we're just, we're making this up as we go along. But hey, I'm always up for improvising. I don't mind at all. So who wants to discuss young people, parenting and young people? I don't mind. I would always have a conversation anytime. So if anyone, hello Timmy, hi, nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining me. That's my friend Green Springs Events, otherwise known as Timmy Bodede. Thank you so much for coming. So maybe I should even get good talks. Who's going to join me? Who's going to join me? And we're going to talk about young people. We're going to talk about being moms. We're going to talk about, what it means to actually parent, to what it means to actually be a mom to young people, to a young person, what it actually means to build a relationship. What are the kind of challenges that we have when we're building these relationships? What are the things, I can tell you some of the things that we have said, on this platform, some of the things that have come out. I'm actually quite interested in when you have to build it across cultures, especially those of us who are in diaspora. And I've got a friend who says she's here, but I can't see you. Are you going to jump on it, Nova? wherever you are hiding, are you going to jump on the platform as well and have a discussion with me? I'm still waiting. If there's any volunteers, I don't mind. If there isn't, I'm just gonna keep talking, and we're just gonna keep talking about what we've discussed over this period. Let me just see. I can see somebody with a message now. That's fine. Just go back. Okay. One of the things that I'm interested to know is when we have such great plans for our children, our young people. I like using the word young people because we're not talking about our under 10s. We're talking about our teenagers. That's my Betty. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being here. This is amazing. I have all these wonderful people on here, and we're still waiting for Caroline. We don't know what has happened, but I'm sure it's all good. So when we've had these really great plans, for our young people, our sons or daughters, and then they have their own plans. Is anybody able to talk to me about how you've managed it such that it doesn't become a demand and you're able to balance what they desire with what you can see is something that will work for them? How do we balance that? How do you look at it? What is what kind of perspective can you give to it? What way can you cause it to work so that they don't become resentful? Do you understand? I don't know if some of us have been here where, you know what you're good at, you know what you desired, especially when we're younger and, well, like we used to say, the traditional, what's it called? The traditional professions. You're a doctor, you're a lawyer, an engineer. You've got to have something that looks really grandiose. But in these days, we see our children wanting to become football players. They want to become chefs. They want to become dancers. They want to become, they want to become writers. They want to go into the creative arts. They want to do those things that in our time we were like, what? How do we balance that? How do we know that, okay, I think this will work, but this is what my child wants? What do you do? How do you make sure that they don't become resentful about what you want for them? Hello, Mokbe. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy birthday again. Like I've been telling everyone who's just joining now, I don't know, my guest is MIA. I don't know when it's happening, but you know me, I'm going to keep on talking. Except somebody wants to give me a little bit of a perspective on the questions I'm asking in terms of how do you balance that? What do you say to your child when they say, this is what I want to do, and you're like, I would have preferred you to do it. How do you work that conversation? What do you say? Are you like, look, I know best. I'm older. I'm your mom. My way or the highway. Yes, you think you know, but really you don't know. What conversation at that point in time do you have? How do you ensure that what you desire, which might be a good thing, don't get me wrong, I'm not here to diss moms, what you want, and dads, sorry, I know there's some dads on there, so yeah, and some dads too, that what you want is good, but your child says, not really, that's not what I want. How do you balance that? How do you ensure that it doesn't become a demand? Like I said, sometimes it can breed resentment. And then, it just is, I ask him why he chose it. So you go to the why. Why do you want to do this? What is driving that? What is important about it? That's a good one. So we have to be able to ask why. Now, what if he asks you why? You reason together, you put the pros and cons in it. What if your child asks you why? Do you think you owe him or her an explanation? Because one of our kids, you can come to a compromise. Sometimes those children don't want to compromise. Sometimes they don't want to compromise. They're like, this is my own thing, this is what I want to do. So I like that. We do want to reach a kind of compromise. But sometimes do we ever wonder, we want to reach a compromise, but what is important? Have we looked at our child's gifting? Have we looked at what works for him or her? Have we looked at what is, like you said, EJ, yes, what is driving it? Have we looked at it? Have we looked at what is surrounding the decisions that they're making? Because sometimes we assume they're making decisions just out of the blue, just because they think they can make it. But maybe not all the time. Maybe there's something that is informing that decision. And like you said, we need to understand that. We need to know why they're choosing the things they choose. And one thing I really, really, really would love parents, aunties, uncle, to understand, and one thing that I'm coming to a realization about, and maybe I may be biased, young people are quite wise people. They don't always get it right, but I think they have a measure of wisdom and understanding. And I don't think we should ever forget that. For a long time, when people talk about teenagers, some people will be like, I can't deal with teenagers. I can't deal with young people, They're quite interesting people. Very, very interesting, amazing people. Obviously, you can see that I like them. Very interesting people. When you sit down and you have a proper conversation with a young person, a conversation based on the fact that you are interested in what they have to say, not a one-to-one seminar, not a one-to-one briefing, because sometimes we just want to come and brief them and they don't want briefing. But but when you have a conversation and you desire to know what they want to say, you'll be surprised at the things you learn from young people. The perspective of things, their ideas of things, the rationale behind which they do things. Sometimes they're completely wrong. I'm not saying they're always right. Sometimes they are so far left field, and I know you all know. Some people like, honestly, son, you are not making sense. But you see, they're coming from somewhere, and we have a duty to sit down and to listen. What I am advocating to moms, to dads, is listening. That is what Young and Strong is about. Well, that is what I am about. Is about listening. What do you have to say? Son, what do you have to say? Daughter, what do you have to say? Talk to me. And like it says, we don't want to win the war and lose the battle. So careful approach is required. I guess we choose our battles. Is it really worth it at this point in time? This one that I'm like, determined that no, my way, is it really, really worth it? You know, do we want to go the whole way with that one, or do we want to wait and say, okay, let's take a look. I win this, but am I going to lose something bigger on the long run? Don't assume that as a parent you're going to win all the time, because you're not. You're not. And the more we can begin to pick our battles as they grow older, the more we can begin to recognize, you know, what's my child like? Which ones do I need to win? Which ones do I need him or her to win at this point in time? Because in the future, when we come to a place where I know without a shadow of doubt, like I'll say, beyond reasonable and unreasonable doubt, that I'm right. Because I've allowed him or her at one point in time to win something, to recognize that they have the ability to make right choices, it's easier to convince them. Rather than you win all the time and then the critical time when you definitely need a win, it's like, this one I'm not giving you, especially when they're older. You know, so please listen. Listen. When we're annoyed, listen. When you're angry, listen. When you're tired, listen. It's not easy, but it is possible. Let's learn to listen to our young people. Don't assume, you know, there's a lot of bad press around young people these days. What they wear, where they go, what they say, their language, their attitude, their everything. And they've got a lot of bad vibes. You know, everybody's thinking, you know, the world has gone upside down because of our young people. That's not true. Where did it start from? You know, where did it start from? When we had the opportunity to listen to them and say, what exactly did you mean? Do we ever say, what? I don't get it. Can you repeat that? Can you say it again? Is this what you mean? And then suddenly we're looking at our kids and we don't recognize them. You're like, where did you pick that one from? You know, why are you talking like that? It's taking 15 years. It's taking 17 years. It's taking 18 years. What happened in the 18 years? What happened in the 15 years? Did we pick up the signs? Now, I'm not here to, like I said, I'm not here to diss moms. I'm not here. I don't have that experience and I don't have that right. But these are the kind of things, you know, that I kind of like pick up from my teenagers, from my young people. And I'm like, do people know you're this intelligent? You know, do people know that you're this good? Do people know that you're this troubled? Do people recognize that this is not going to work out? You know, and I just think it's important that we do that. Another thing that I like to discuss is cultures. How much of your culture do you insist that your child has to imbibe? Especially if you're living in diaspora. I find it interesting that, especially when I get the opportunity to go back home, a lot of, you know, I found out maybe a lot of our young people don't speak the local language anymore for various reasons. They don't incorporate the culture that we grew up with for various reasons. But sometimes I wonder why we don't, you know, that transition hasn't happened from us to them. I know quite a number of us maybe grew up, you know, in our native countries and then moved over. So we kind of like had it, but I just wonder why, and I don't know if somebody can help me, why we're not passing that on. In some cultures, and I've seen some nationalities, they pass it on so well. The kids, they know, they have it. But I noticed that amongst my own, I don't want to call us ethnic minority. This is not a BAME session. You know, with that leaning towards that area, that continent or that country, we don't translate it. You know, and I just wondered, is there a reason why we don't do that? Is there something that, you know, something that influences that? Do we think it's not necessary? Or is it that we just can't be bothered? Look, this is England or this is America. Just speak English and we're okay. You know, there's no need to learn Yoruba. There's no need to just you know, we're okay. You understand? And it's, Yeah, it's the culture. Is it perhaps the culture? Is it that we don't want it? Is it that we don't think it's necessary? Do we think it's not transferable? I don't know, should I call it skill, talent? It's not a transferable character trait. It's not a transferable thing. It's not something that's going to be beneficial when our kids are able to understand that they have access to another culture, where they can identify with another culture. They can practice something else outside what is the general norm around them. Is that something that we find that is not necessary? Because truth be told, wherever your kids are, they will speak English. They will. I know, I can guarantee that all the moms and dads on this platform, all your kids speak English, But what about the other ones? What about the languages that we have access to that they don't speak? I just wonder why. Like I said, I'm just asking all these questions, just wondering. I'm not dissing any moms today. I'm not dissing any dads. I'm just asking the questions. So anyway, we're almost half an hour in, and you've been having to listen to me just, I don't know what I say, I'm rambling on. I don't know if you're finding this interesting, whether this is stimulating any conversations, any thoughts, in your mind. Fola said she was guilty of not teaching the language. So they're beginning to pick up Igbo and Yoruba, and I think they're gonna thank you for it one day. I tell you, they will thank you for it one day. So Fola, please keep doing that. Keep doing that. So like I said, it's like it's just too hard for me to teach them, and when you get them a teacher, they just don't find it amusing. Somebody's playing an excuse that Mr. T or OT, whichever one it is, I don't agree. I don't agree. My goodness, you're today on the hi. How are you? So nice to see you. Okay, says some of us focus only on some aspects of culture and just left the rest. So what, you've maybe focused on the food and left the language. Maybe you focused on them being respectful and left the language or left something else. It is true, some of us can't do everything. And so we kind of like look at what is convenient and, like, I've tried, let them just live their lives. But let me just encourage you, whatever bit you can do is going to be interesting. It's going to be helpful. I tell you, honestly, I think they will thank you for it. Because sometimes when you listen to them speak, and some of them have that added advantage, they love the fact that they have that added advantage. It is true. Because it kind of like distinguishes you from everybody else. I'm just myself and I try to do it all. Alright, Stabuki. But since my mother spoke the same line out loud, done it, they know a bit of mine. What about the dad's beats? Betsy. Yeah, today, longest time. Thank you so much for even sneaking it. It's so nice. I mean, it's been decades. I don't know how long. So nice to see you again. Thank you so much. Yes, so I can see excuses popping up. Those of us that's married people that don't speak the same language as us, is the parents' fault. That even gives you an advantage. That even gives you an advantage, to that they can learn to. Because the truth of the matter is, when you send them to school, some of you say, oh, my kid is learning Spanish and French, or they're learning Mandarin and Arabic or something, Can you imagine? Oh, Sabuki, your son gossips in Yoruba. That is another level. You see, I'm sure he appreciates that he can sometimes say some things that he doesn't want other people to hear. And so because he has Yoruba, he can talk in that one. So I'm just encouraging people. For those who are just joining us, unfortunately, I don't know what happened to my guest. She hasn't been able to join us today. You're waiting for Dad to invite you. You want him to come and teach you? I don't agree. Learn it. Tell your kids to learn it. So my guest hasn't been able to join us. I don't know what happened, but it's okay. I mean, we're gisting along. You know, it's an interesting one, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Shoujo, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me. You know, Yoruba is not for coding. You know, thank you, Shoujo. Everyone, again, I apologize. My guest hasn't shown up today. I'm not sure what's happening, but I pray by the grace of God that everything is fine, you know, and that all is well with her. I'm sure I'll try and catch up with her at some point in time just to make sure that she's doing okay. That's the most important thing. Yes, you know, thank you, Shoujo. I'm glad to have you. We're having an interesting conversation on why our kids that are not, even some of the kids that are in our native countries don't speak the native language. And I'm asking you, moms and dads, what happened? People have been giving me amazing excuses. I haven't seen one yet. Yesterday says, I regret my children can't speak Yoruba. However, they understand. Just good teacher to teach them now. Depends on how old they are by now. You know, I do recall that years ago, I knew somebody that the first language that she was taught was her native language, because her parents said, when you get to school, you're definitely going to learn English. You know? Yeah, you got a highly recommended, I prefer. Okay. I wish them all the very best. Hello, Uncle Bumi. Thank you for joining us. You know, I wish them all the very best. So, you know, that was a brilliant strategy that her parents used. They taught her the first language she spoke was the native language Tolu. That's an awesome minister to young people as well, Tolu Awokwetu. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm telling everyone, unfortunately, my guest hasn't shown up. I don't know what's happening, but I believe that she's fine. But meanwhile, we're just having an interesting conversation about how come and I can see that a lot of confessions are coming. How come a lot of our kids can't speak our native language? I've seen excuses from my husband and I are from two different cultures. I've seen you know, I've taught them a little bit of the culture. I didn't teach them the other part. Okay. Some have decided to get the teachers. Oh, your nieces learned at 19. Your husband did not agree. Okay. And it's interesting. Oh dear, Stabuki. You know, and it's interesting that sometimes what the kids pick up is not the very nice things, you know. So you weren't allowed to teach them yet today. I'm sure the kids will sometimes ask you, they'll say, why did you teach us Yoruba? I'm telling you. It's called mother tongue, so you take for us because you showed you. Start. Uncle Mig, we have said that is not an excuse. Your wife is from a different country. No, okay, tell her to teach them one. Does her country have a language? Tell them. Maafueleti was the first Yoruba they understood. Stabuki, but why? You know. So please, I'm asking. Don't blame me. You see here today, it's not too late, Jojo. It's not too late. We can't, let's start somewhere. Okay. I can see all the excuses and it is so amazing. Although those of you that are saying that your kids learned, I know maybe big sis Betty, was it where they learned first? Mind yourself. You see, Shoujo, they speak fluent Spanish. It does not count. Are you from Spain? It is not your mother tongue. Uncle Bumi says they understand chauffeur Jegba, which means, do you want me to beat you? All right. This is so interesting. Okay, my guest has arrived. I'm sure she's going to have a wonderful excuse. I love you, Caroline. I really do. Bob, I'm having so much fun. So are you ready, Caroline? Are you ready to send me a request, or do you want me to just bring a bad network? Oh, but that's fine. I've been learning some secrets from our mom. They also understand body language. Oh yes, the eyes and the head, Do we call that native language as well? Okay. I'm going to bring my guest on now. When the boys I shout man in. I'm sorry about this. Caroline. I'm sorry, we've just been having a ball.
I'm glad you're having a ball. Can you see what I look like? Honestly, I would
What
only.
happened to all your makeup?
What happened to all my makeup? You happened to my makeup. No, let's just. I'll tell you all about it later. I apologize, guys, for those of you that are watching. I sincerely apologize for just joining in now. I'll just say I'm in Nigeria, and I'm actually hotspotting from a friend of mine that came to visit because there is just no Wi-Fi, full stop. And I'm
Oh
staying in a
wow.
hotel, and it's not even like back of a lorry kind of hotel, and it's still not working. So,
It's
so,
good. You're here, Caroline. You're here. That's the important
so
thing.
we're gonna be talking. We're gonna be talking fast, innit? We're gonna be talking fast, innit?
No, it's fine. We'll do as much. We'll do as much. I've had. Let me just bring you up to speed. I was making it up as I go along.
Oh, bless you. I'm so sorry. Did you tell
No,
everyone I actually came up 2 days before?
I forgot to tell them that. I was waiting for you to show up first before I have to tell the story like 2 or 3 times. Caroline actually called me up on Friday. So where are you? Why aren't you going online? I said, Caroline, look at the date too. We said Sunday. That was how much she wanted
Yeah,
to,
I
she
really do.
wanted to
I
be
really
here.
do want to
That's
be here.
that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. I know. I suspect Instagram gives us a little bit more time anyway than the 1 hour that I normally kind of keep it to. So
Okay.
we'll do as much as we can,
Okay.
hopefully. And if we don't finish, don't worry. We'll just schedule something, and I will make sure you are in the UK. Eh? And you
Yeah, it'd be
have
lovely.
fun.
I love to. I love to. And I mean, this is very important. I love what you do, and I'm
Thank you.
very humbled to be invited. I know you told me months and months in advance, and thank you for having me on. I know
Thank
we do
you.
our thing in church, but obviously
Yeah.
this is us, and it's about everyone that is listening, and
Yes.
to the parents that are there, and to the young people, the young adults. Um,
Yes.
I appreciate you guys. You know, Auntie T loves you to bits.
Thank
Guys,
you.
you know how I feel about you guys. You know, Auntie Caroline, just Auntie Caroline, regardless. So, but
Thank
yeah,
you, thank you, thank you for everyone that has joined us. Like we've heard, Caroline's explanation. It's fine. I mean, I have learned that on this thing, God always shows up. Whatever needs to happen will happen. So I've learned not to be bothered and just to enjoy it because we've been learning as we we've been going on. Somebody said we should talk fast before NEPA shows.
don't worry, NEPA will be fine. My phone is charged.
All right, Caroline, let's just get into it. And like I said, please don't worry. We'll do as much as we can. If we want to come back, we'll just come back and we'll just have some more fun. So this is me. You and me, we go back a long way. I'm not troubled. As long as you're fine. I just wanted to be sure that you were fine. And now that you're fine, that is good. All right, so my guest is here. So for those of us who we were having a conversation before about parents who were not teaching their children their native language. all our kids that speak only English. And I've been seeing as many excuses as there are countries in the world. But it is fine. It is fine. We're going to jump into my time with Caroline. And thank you everyone who stayed with me and we continue to have that interesting conversation. Caroline, I know you're always more cha-cha than this, but it is okay.
Do you know what? The face is not on fleek. The eyebrows are not on fleek. Like literally, the hair is not on fleek. So come on, like really.
Don't worry, I will make a decision whether to save this one or not. No, I will save it. So whenever you upset me, I will tell you I have something on Instagram. All right, Caroline, tell us about yourself. Who is Caroline Popoola? Tell us about yourself. Yes.
Thank you so much, Boston. Like I said earlier, thank you for having me on. My name is Caroline Popoola, or Popoola, as we all say, and I'm a member of a church called KICC, which is where Boston and I met, and we're friends as well, and our husbands are friends. Outside of that, I'm a Christ lover. I'm a mummy of three adorable teenage children, and I know they're teenagers, trust me. But then outside of all of that, I'm into business, crazy about business. I eat, sleep, drink business. I
Yes.
do everything around business. And I'm passionate about people doing well. And Boston will tell you that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
literally, I'm just, um, when someone asked me a question in an interview and said, what would you say to yourself 10 years from now? Something like that. And I said, I am living my best life, you know. So, and that's it, with no regrets whatsoever. And that's thanks to God, obviously. And yeah, so I'm grateful. But that's what I do in a nutshell. I work with children, and I'm crazy about business. Um,
Okay.
and I'm crazy
And
about young people, old people, name it. I'm crazy about everything, really, to be honest.
yeah, just crazy about everything.
Yeah, exactly right. You
And
can tell
I'm
already, isn't it? You can tell like my language already, isn't it? You can tell my
you
language.
are just crazy about everything. And I know one thing, I mean, before we talk about young people, I know you're very, very passionate about leadership. I know it's something that you talk about a lot. Why? Why, leadership?
I think for me, I like when leadership is so simple. Leadership is so simple and very straightforward. People
Yes.
just attach so much cliche to it, but it's so simple. If you care about people, you care about people doing well, you care about empowering people, you care
Yeah.
about the next steps and so on. Leadership is easy. It's a space where you're not selfish, it's a space where you serve other people. And everyone is a leader. As long as you love to serve, you are a leader. Because once you learn to serve and you serve wholeheartedly, you are a born leader, because
Right.
it's that thing about being humble and giving yourself regardless. And if you're able to do that, there's no reason, because it's not about you leading people, it's like who is following you with no strings attached. You know, when you have people following you and you have to pay them, they have no choice but to follow you. But if
Mm-hmm.
people are following you with no strings attached, as in like it's not as a result of a reward I'm gonna get from you, but it's a result of how you behave, how you speak to them, what you give back, what you give in, the energy, the positivity, and so on. That's why people follow you. Then there's no reason why you can't lead.
I
So,
see.
if for those people are leaders, why do people listen to you as a leader? Why?
Okay.
And if it's
Um,
because of what they get in return, then we need to
mm,
think about it,
you're
really.
more of a boss than a leader, aren't you? So I'm going to now flip it. Now that we're talking about leadership, I know we've talked about questions, but I like to come into the space of the person I'm talking about. So how you what you've talked about leadership now, how can you translate that into being a mother?
Oh,
Into being a
honestly, it's
mother.
so easy, because being a leader, you have to be someone that learns and willing to learn. And I think there's a phrase we've coined last year, which I think his name is Les. I never remember his second name, but he's well known all over the world.
Les
And I'm sure
Brown?
someone's gonna,
Les Brown.
Les Brown. That's it. Yeah, yeah, Les
Okay.
Brown. That everyone says, like, and we all ran around with it last year, where we're saying learn, unlearn, and relearn. As a parent,
Mm.
that has to be your theme. If you're a parent and
Yeah.
you're not willing to do that, then forget it. And I know quite a lot of parents watch your program and listen to your program. And I know I don't fit into some parents' sort of whatever. However, I'm just gonna, yeah, Bosu, you're covering your face now.
Caroline, you
But
know me. I know you. I
Yeah,
don't have.
exactly. We know where
I'm
we come
cool.
from, right? You know, and that's it. So that's the same thing around leadership. Are you learning as a parent? Even
Mm,
from, I remember I was going to do a show recently and somebody said to me, I was getting all nervous and stuff. And she said to me, Caroline, I learned from a 5-year-old.
yeah.
And she's comfortable for a 5-year-old to tell her, oh, mommy, you got that wrong, mommy. And she's okay with it. And that's the thing. If, as a parent, if you're not willing to learn and you think you know it all, you've lost it. I'm sorry, but I'll be honest. I mean, there are
Mm.
other questions you're going to ask me, and I'm going to try not to jump. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
No, 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 no,
Turning
no, no.
leadership around to
Caroline.
parenting,
Yeah. Go on. There's no
turning
set.
leadership.
Yeah. There's no set way.
Okay,
Let's just keep talking. Keep
okay.
talking.
Turning leadership into parenting, that's what I would say. You have to be willing to learn from your children. There are things I do with my children. I go back to Arabella, my daughter, Arabella, and I say to her, I said, Arabella, what would you do differently if you are a parent from what I do
Mm.
now?
Wow.
I ask my children that now. And it's things I've asked years before. And I said, what would you do differently? You know why? Because as a mom and first generation British, for me, I've looked at my mom and I thought, yeah, I like the cultural part, I like the respect, I like all that. But I mean, simple thing like, I'll be honest, when I was going to start my period, I wasn't taught what to do. My first day was the pillowcase.
Oh
We never
dear.
talked about sex in my household because it's just a taboo. So obviously, all of those things we never talked about. And to her, it's based on what she knows, how much she knows. So for
Right.
me, there's certain things I said definitely I'm going to change as a parent. And you could imagine, Arabella, the first thing I'm talking to her about is like not just talking, it's like seeing. So again, I already know, okay, I'm going to change things. I love this about my mom. I didn't like this particularly because she didn't talk about this thing. So I asked my children, I said, what would you do differently as a parent if you were a parent? What would you do from what I'm doing now? What would you do differently? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, what do you like that I do? I'm not
No.
asking their permission to say, what do you like? Because I'm sure they tell you they don't like everything. When it suits them, the day is the day it suits them, they like everything, and the day it doesn't suit, they don't like everything. But it's like, what would you do differently?
Yeah.
And they'll
Yeah.
think about it. And I'm so grateful to say, even when we were going to have this conversation, I said, Arabella, what would you do? She said, Mom, no, nothing. And that's the
Hmm.
honest truth. So if you go back as a parent, frequently ask, because their mind is like a sponge. It could change next week and say, oh, mommy, yeah, I would do this differently. And she said, not at the moment is nothing. So as of today, I take it nothing. But those are areas we need to, as a parent, you need to be open to
Yeah.
constructive criticism, even from your own children.
Mm. Now you use the phrase constructive criticism,
Mm.
and I remember one time I was asking some parents, and I've had two different views about this. I know she must be sitting beside you, eh? And saying, yeah,
No, she's not there. No, it's my friend. Let me say hello to my friend. Hi,
hello,
guys.
hello, thank
Do you
you
know?
so
Do you
much.
know?
Thank you.
Also, do you know this person? Look,
She looks familiar, but I
she is
don't.
familiar.
Oh my gosh, it's Speak for Gold, isn't
Yeah,
it?
speak for gold. Yeah,
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, I know that. Oh gosh, Simi
it's a
Sola.
Simi Sola. Yeah,
Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
she can't hear me. I've
Simi
got my
Sola.
earpiece on. She's just gonna.
Thank you.
So
So
even feel
nice
like
to
saying
see
that.
you. Hi. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, Simi Sola.
She's the one giving me a hotspot. I'm
Yes.
sharing the internet with her. That's
As
how
long as
bad it is.
we can hear you and fine. Whether it's hotspot, any spot,
Oh,
I don't mind. So
honestly,
I think
honestly. Yeah.
what I was going to piggyback off that question that you said about self constructive criticism. I asked that question and I think I posted to a couple of parents and it was like I got yes and I got no and I got I ain't gonna do that and I got yes we can. Can you afford to be vulnerable with your children? In other words, tell them about some stuff about yourself that maybe you're like, I hope this child won't use it against me. What would be your view on that? Can you be vulnerable? I know I almost can sense what you say, but I'm going to let you talk.
know what? This is this is me saying to Arabella, it's like, I think I'm going to be the shortest guest Auntie Boss has ever had on the program. Because, like,
You're going to
really,
be my longest
really.
actually.
No, because the way I look at it, and Fina is there. I can see her. She could sense what I would say as well. Definitely, because how could you not be true to your children? There's a poem I'm trying to remember, something around something in the mirror on the wall, or something like that. And I'll post it to you so you can put it on your page when I get it, when we get back to the UK. But it's something where, like, you can imagine looking at yourself in the mirror. You can lie to the whole world. You can lie to everyone. Well, you can't lie to the image that is looking back at you.
Of course.
Same thing with your children. What image is watching you? They watch you daily, and you're one person with them and something else with somebody else. It can't work. This is not Christianese stuff. This is not church. This is just normal. This is day-to-day stuff. So for me, if I cry in quiet, they need to know why mommy is crying. And especially, with our children, it's more like, okay, is it my fault? The way they do is like, oh, what have I done? You need to let them understand this is what the world is like. Yes, mommy has had a bad day at work. Business is not as smooth as it looks like. Because, for example, if you have a spoiled child that's constantly the latest Nike and the latest Balenciagas and stuff like that, and the day business is not doing well, they don't get it. Then they'll turn around and be rude to you. That's why you're effing and you're thinking, hold on a minute, let's draw the line somewhere. So they need to be right with you. You need to be honest with your children. You need to be vulnerable with them if you have to. Yes, there's a degree of how vulnerable you can be, but there's nothing wrong in being genuinely honest with the children. But obviously, yes, you don't tell them all of it. You tell them how much you feel as children they can handle. But I'm so open with my children, and you know that. I mean, we have some crazy conversations that, like, you're thinking, what? I'm thinking, yeah, why not? Because they become better children, and they make informed decisions. So definitely, I'm so in agreement with being vulnerable. Definitely, there's a degree to how far you can be, but you need to let them know that it's okay to be vulnerable. And we all know now, vulnerability is a new strength. What lies, because there's so many leaders out there, going back to leadership again, that don't tell you their struggles and their stress and their pains, and before their gain, they don't tell you thank you, salt on business. They don't tell you that you have to be authentic. They don't tell you all of that. And then people think, oh, I want to be like that. How did she manage it? How did he manage it? But they're never honest with you. But if you're vulnerable to tell people, listen, this is what I did before I got here. This is how my pain, my struggle every night. When I fell, I couldn't sleep for 6 months because I had Bible in my ears, because I had the fear of death. But guess what? I'm still standing today. And that's the thing. If you say that to people, they know, guess what? You're only human. You're not disputing the fact that these messages, these negativities will still come, and they still play havoc on you. But it's the way you now know yourself so much that you're putting it behind you. You're thinking, no, I am empowered by this. I know how to now silence these voices. That's the whole thing around vulnerability. And you have to be vulnerable with your children. I don't, obviously, to a degree, but I don't say to anyone, you have to be. You have to be.
Yeah. I'm just going to shout, hail my darling brother, KP. Nice to have you on here.
Oh my, is that my husband? My husband's one. He knows his wife. Oh God.
It's all good. It's all good. So that's a good one. And I like how you talked about it. But I think one way that they looked at it was the fact that, when your child does something wrong, and you're trying to correct them, or they're in a place where stuff is happening to them. Because a question I asked a lot with my young people on my other platform was, who do you go to when you have an issue? And a lot of them kept saying, my friends. And I kept asking, why don't you go to your parents? And they're like, the parents are like the last resort, when it's either going to be a police matter or there's a big issue, then we go to our parents.
Yeah.
And I asked why, and they said because the parents look perfect. It's as if they've never done it before. And so I ask parents, I say, kind of like, how much of, how you used to be do you share with your kids? And you think
I
we
think
should.
the pictures tells the story. No worries. We were not born into a Christian home. So when I say Arabella, those shorts, I say, mommy, tell me, you didn't wear hot pants when you were little. You didn't wear your high heels and go to nightclub when you were younger. I say, yes. But guess what? It's different now.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
you dress to your body shape. Obviously, my daughter, obviously, like you all know, she's a very, very well endowed and blessed young lady. So you
That's
dress
right.
to your
Yeah.
body shape. And I remember recently we had a photo shoot for her. And the young lady that was doing it, she wanted all young people around her. She didn't want old, mature photographer because they're mommies. She called them fresh off the river, fresh off the boat.
Freshies.
No, fresh
My
off the
kids
boat.
say it's
Fresh off the
freshies.
boat. Yeah, fresh off the boat.
Off
So
the boat.
yeah,
Yes.
off the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fresh off the boat. You know. So we had this young lady who is also a youth leader in one of the Redeemed churches, and she mirrors everything the young people are saying and so on. And you can imagine talking about dressing for your body shape. You can imagine you're wearing a spaghetti straps top. So if you're size 34A, for example, it makes sense. Or if you're size 38 triple F, if there's anything like that, it's not going to be the same.
No, no,
And
no,
it's
no.
not the fact that we're saying don't wear spaghetti strap, but just wear something to fit your body shape. So it's how you deliver those messages.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, whilst I wore the top with my belly showing, I had a flat belly and I had no bulging. And I probably was a size 10 or size 8. But now that I'm a size 16, I can't do that because one, it doesn't suit my body shape, and two, you're giving the wrong messages. So it's got nothing to do with Christianese. There's nowhere in the Bible that says, or maybe I haven't seen that bit yet, that says you can't, you obviously it's not like you're showing everything, but you can't wear whatever you want to wear. Do you understand? Yes, I know it goes the thing about the trousers and we know we're in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I know all that stuff. But literally, for our children in the 21st century, it's not how what you tell them is how you say it to them, and for
Yes.
them to understand it. And it's
Yes.
explaining our parents, I feel a lot of what we like to do is tell them no without us saying the reason why. If you don't say
Okay.
a reason why to children and you're just saying no, and you think because I'm a parent, why should I have to tell you why? Why should I have to give you the reason why I'm saying no? Like, really, like, hello,
Yeah.
so you have
Yeah.
to.
You have to.
It's the
I
21st
I get that.
century. It's the 21st century. Things are not the same,
No,
and you have
no.
to move with the times, whether you like it or not.
Wow. I like that because it was one of the questions because a young person kept saying parents should tell us why. And I remember we were having that conversation. I said in our time when you ask your mom why, they had this talk this why, because why has a long tail, and things like that. But true, the kids want to know why because even yes, because they'll say because I said so. True, Oti, because I said so. And even the way our kids learn this, they even in school, is a lot of critical thinking. So why do we think in formal education they learn like that, and then when they're at home, their brains just switch around, and they're just supposed to toe a line as if they're in the military. So I do understand that vulnerability, say a little, but maybe not everything. You can't tell them, you can't tell them everything.
Yes,
All
totally.
right,
I agree.
we'll do a
I
little
agree.
bit.
I agree.
You can't. I know, no,
I
Carl,
agree.
and I know
Yeah,
you, and I
I
love you
agree.
from the bottom
I
of my
agree.
heart, and I know you're
I
very
agree.
open.
Yeah.
You,
No,
you,
that's why I
you,
said to a degree, you tell them to a degree. You tell them to
yes.
a degree in which they can handle. You don't tell them everything. You tell them to a degree in which they can handle as a pair, as children.
Excellent. All right. Okay, there was another thing. We'll just take a little bit more, and then I know that you're going to go back and relax after stressfully trying to come on mom's word. So one thing I always ask, and it was a question that was going on before you kind of came on, Now, I know that you're a very proud African woman, but your kids are being brought up in the UK. How do you straddle the two cultures? How do you straddle it, or do you just jump on? Look, you are now UK, you are Western, or do you straddle? Do you inculcate both cultures?
I think for me, I think I said it at the beginning. I love the fact that being a first generation British, I love the fact that we have the benefit and the blessing of both cultures. Um, Regardless of what we think, and this is to the young people, whether you like it or not, the culture is good. However, you need to have a parent, or as parents, we need to be open to learning. You
Okay.
can't
Okay.
say you're not going to be open to learning, and um, and that's it. You have to be open to learning. You have to learn. I mean, we all learn to use mobile phones. We all learn to use um, the
Instagram. Oh.
our social media, exactly, Instagram. I know, right? I know, yeah, yeah. We all learn to use our social media. So when you think, oh, I'm old, I can't be bothered, I can't be bothered, you're just doing yourself. Literally,
Yeah.
like you're Nigerians, when you're doing yourself. And that's what it is. It's the fact that you need to be open to learning. You need to be open to listening.
Mm.
You need to be open to listening to the children. Because guess what? If you don't do it, they would learn the wrong things from the wrong people, from the wrong places. So you
Yeah.
need to get in there first. And most of the time, I'm sure you agree, we think they don't know. They already know the answers. They just come and they just give you that, let me just ask. So
Let
if
me
you
try.
think,
Let me try.
and that's it. They already know the answers to so many things. So for me,
Yeah.
I don't find it a struggle at all. That's because I
Okay.
know myself well and I learn a lot. And I'm so open to my children and I'm open to other people's children. And I've got young, I mean, even in terms of my boys, that
Mm.
teens, I asked Carabella, am I being too firm? Am I being, because I'm asking, all right, so who are you meeting? I haven't met your friends, da, da, da. And why is he not home? Or why is he getting detention? Or do you think, Arabella be like, Mom, just leave it, the boys, I'm like, okay, fine, and that's it. So it's a matter of, whilst I'm not doubting my parents' status, I'm not doubting the fact that I know what I'm doing, but at the
Yeah.
same time, listening to the children is key. So I
Yeah.
don't find it a struggle, to be honest, because I'm not set in my parenting. I'm so open to learning. I'm not set
Brilliant.
at all, So no,
Brilliant.
I enjoy the fact that it's both cultures. And if I have to explain anything to the children about what we do in Nigeria, I'm not all for the prostrating or don't prostrate, or you kneel down or don't kneel down. In Nigeria, if you do that, they will still tell you your head is crazy, and they'll still be saying, Auntie, but your head is crazy. Oh. Because if you're very smart, you won't be talking to me like this. Nigerians, they will disrespect you and still be calling you Auntie. So the whole thing is like, it's not even on the basis of, it's, it's, they, it's like if you meet some people that are, Auntie, I just slap your face, and they call you Auntie and they still want to slap you. So it's like, so you're thinking, it's got nothing to do with that. Is
Yeah.
how much is the whole thing around respect? Is the whole thing about you opening to learning? Is not how
Yeah.
much um they respect the culture or not respect the culture. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got
That's,
nothing to do with that. So you learn and teach them what they need to know that is good about the culture. Teach them even the ones that is not good about the culture, and they make an informed decision
decision.
themselves.
All right. All right.
So
Okay. I like that. So it's about kind of like it's like a picking what is
yeah,
valuable
yeah,
in
yes,
every
yes,
culture. Like
yes,
when I
yes.
might get to say what is good about it. Okay, one last thing because I
One
really
last,
want you to go
I
and
know.
chill.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, baby. Thank you.
I'm wondering which because I've got to bring you back because I really really want to have a discussion with other thing all the other things we're going to talk about. One last thing. Should parents seek counsel or discuss their children with other parents?
If you ask me, for me,
Mm,
I know who to. I don't just go to anyone. They've got to share my values. You've got to share my values. You've got to have the same ethics as me. You've got to have the same ethics as me. I'm repeating myself because I can see we're frozen at one point. So
that's fine.
we've got to have the same values. We've got to, because I can't come to someone that allegedly Arabella will call fresh off the boat, and then I'm saying I'm
That's so
saying,
lovely. Oh,
and
the
I'm saying,
precious.
oh, oh, Arabella is behaving like this, or the boys are behaving like this. What do you think? Do you not know how to behave in Nigeria? So you've got to know who to share things with. And
Yes.
even some, there's some of my friends that we have different views about raising our children, and
Mm.
I respect that, and I won't go to them for advice. Really, Jehovah, can you hear the noise? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Here we go. So sorry, this is anything can happen. Anything can happen in this place.
It's all right.
So,
Well, we're good. We're good. Let's keep
so,
talking, Sissy.
no, but yeah, I wouldn't just go to anyone. You've got to share my views. We've got to have the same views, the same values. Like you and I, when we talk, I remember when my children were going to come to the children's day, I'm thinking, Auntie Boson, I hand your children over to you. They are
Yeah.
your children. Yes, there's an African element to that. You understand my language, but at the same time, if you are the kind of auntie that sit down,
One
don't
of the
talk,
both.
like fresh off the boat. If you're the auntie that is fresh off the,
I'm
I
afraid.
won't, I won't hand my children to you, you know. And there's some aunties that we have, I won't hand my children to you because you're fresh off the boat, So, and that's it.
Have this pressure of the both. I
That's a
remember
new
the
one for
first
you, eh?
No, I remember the first time my teens used that, and they were like, "Oh, Auntie, that's a freshie," and I'm like, "Freshie? Which one's freshie?" Auntie, they just came off the boat.
Exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So freshies are. They've told me. My
Yeah.
team
I
will
know
tell
now.
me.
I know.
They
Yeah,
told me the
yeah,
freshies.
yeah,
So
yeah.
be careful. I know personally when I was as a young person, even when I was older. I never liked my mom discussing my issues,
Yeah.
with
Totally,
her friends.
totally, totally, totally.
I didn't like it. So,
Mm.
I would understand if young people didn't like it as well. But
Mm.
like you said, you bounce off people that have the
Yeah,
same values.
yeah.
Kind of,
That's it.
not somebody that will call your daughter and be like, I heard that you, eh?
No way. No way. No way.
I didn't
And,
send you
and
out.
and the thing with children, young people as well, is like I'm not even saying children, young adults or whatever it
Young
is.
people, please. Yeah.
The whole thing around confidentiality is key. Once you break their
Yes.
trust, you're done for. You are
Yes.
done for. And even for so many parents that are out here listening to this, I have young adults that would normally talk to me, and all I have their parents say to me is like, Caroline, do I need to worry?
Mm.
And I turn around and say, trust me, you're fine. Because the children, both boys and girls, they will tell me everything. They will book, Auntie Caroline, I need to come and sit in your office and talk to you. And I will
Brilliant.
sit with them. We do heart to heart because they know I'm not there to judge. I'm not there to pass guilt or pass blame. If they were wrong, I tell them, I say, if I were you, I nearly called one of their names just now. I say, if I were you, I wouldn't have done that. But I tell you what, moving forward, this is how to rectify it. You understand?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I would never ask them, do you want me to tell your parents? Because on a need to know basis, if they need to tell their parents, they will tell their parents. Do you understand?
Mm.
And if it's something, for example, I remember once somebody said, one of the children came and said something to me. And the parents, months later, said, this person doesn't talk much, blah, 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 blah. We're very worried. I said, look, trust me, we're in a good place. We're in a very good place. All I want you to do is like, this person has a dream. Your son has this. I know you can't hear your problem. Okay. Your son has a dream. Your son has a dream. And just pray that everything he sets his hand to do will prosper. Because if you listen to the thing this boy is doing, you will be blown away as a parent. But he is not
Amen.
confident enough to share it with you. But just say, Father, we hand over this child to you. Like the things he's doing, he will prosper. Literally that. And they just feel, and because I guess again it depends on the auntie they're talking to. If they, I'm one auntie, people know I don't conform to nobody's status quo. I don't conform to, no, I do me, and that's it. So for the parents, they trust me enough to say, we trust Caroline for our children to talk to them, and that's it. So confidentiality is key to any parent listening, or to any to the young adults. You need to, if they tell you something, you don't need to share it with their parents. If and when they, I don't basically, I don't share. And if a parent, as a result, would not want to talk to me again, so be it. I don't mind. I'd rather gain the trust of the young person. I'd rather gain the trust of the young person over and over again, and being true to my God and knowing I'm a true Christian, true and true, with no compromise whatsoever, and have that young person trust me wholeheartedly, than obviously if they're leading wrong, I would tell them, if I were you, I'll speak to mom or I'll speak to dad.
Yes.
I
Yes.
would tell them that, but they still have the choice. You don't make that choice for them. They have to make that choice themselves.
Okay. So can we say, I mean, it's a difficult, honestly, Caroline, I'll be honest with you, it is a difficult one, because it is very hard for you as a parent to realize that your child confides in somebody else. But I think that, like you said, with prayer, sometimes your child needs that, because that relationship with you to be able to say some things to you does not exist. And I think as parents, we may need to accept that,
Yeah.
and understand that ultimately the what we're after is the good of the child, not you being able to say, my child tells me, and because at that point in time, it's not about you.
Yeah.
And whatever is going to keep your child balanced, well, mentally, physically, socially. I do say that, I mean, because of maybe my position and what I do within that, sometimes we have to do that for reasons.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But the important thing is that as parents, which also means that the company you keep as a parent is important.
Yeah, is important. Yeah, totally.
It's important
Totally.
because you don't want to surround yourself with people that your children can't trust.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. Yeah.
So sometimes you might like, yeah, but that person is my friend. You can talk to me. Oh no, no, no.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they see some things that we don't see.
We don't see. Yeah,
In our
totally.
friends. Thank you, Carla. I mean, there's so much more we can talk
I
about.
know. Why don't we do a
But I'm
part
good.
2? I know you're very organized and you've got your people all, I'm sure, till the end of the year. So we can do a
Well,
part 2.
actually, see, maybe we can. I've got my wonderful friends who helps me out, who bounces off me. Well, I'm sure we'll get something done by the end of the year.
If you send me the date and I'm happy to make it up.
Yeah,
Because I know we have so many things we needed to talk about.
Yes,
But
yes,
I'm
indeed.
happy to make it up. I promise. I'm happy to make
But
it
I
up.
mean, I
I
have to
was looking
say,
forward
I
to it.
mean, I know, even in the little time that we've been talking, it's been amazing. And
Thank
what
you
I
so much.
love about you, and I'm not saying this because it's Instagram, I love your authenticity, your honesty,
Thank
and
you.
your openness.
Thank you, baby. Thank you.
So I really, really appreciate, and for you making time to come, I appreciate,
I'm
because I know
sorry
you're
I
an
came late.
I know you're an extremely busy woman. So when I first started to say this, I was like, I mean, people, Caroline is busy. I mean, she's the woman with her picture. Is in which station they put your picture?
Here we go. Here we go.
That's how amazing. That's how
Thank you.
amazing she
Thank
is.
you
So
so
thank
much.
you
I
so much for
appreciate
coming,
it.
talking
Thank
to
you.
us moms, and we've got dads on here. We've got young people as well on here, and I mean, just sharing about what it's like to be moms to teenagers. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I'm
having me.
definitely looking forward to part 2. And for
Thank
all
you.
the people, my conversation about teach your children your language. I'm not done
We are
yet.
trying. We are trying. We are
You're
trying.
gonna be
Thank you,
beautiful.
Swords and Business Managers. Thank you
That's
so much.
OC.
Thank you.
That's my friend, and to all
Oh,
everyone that's
bless.
joined us. Thank you for staying
Thank
on.
you. I
We
know
caught
they've done really
because
well actually to stay on for that long. Thank you so much,
obviously
guys.
you've got a fan base. You got people that love you. They're like, we're going to give
Yeah, right.
Caroline. She will meet us here today. We're not going
Thank you
anywhere.
so much.
This
I think you should
woman,
say thank you to Lady Simi for allowing me to hold the
Simisola, that
phone
is
to
Simisola Gubiade.
Simisola.
Amazing,
How she
amazing.
even know your surname now? She said, I think about
I
it or
know, so
whatever it is.
well. You know the
Well
reason why
done.
she resonates with me is because your Simisola is spelled with a Y. So I always remember it so well. Thank you so much for making this happen. We
Thank
really,
you.
really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for helping Caroline to get on this. And I wish you all the very best in Lagos. I look forward to you coming back. Johnny Mercies, please stay
Thank you.
safe.
Thank you, darling. Thank you,
Uh,
dear.
thank you to
Thank you.
everyone that
Thanks,
joined
Bean.
us.
I lovely
God
to see
bless
you, baby.
you.
See you soon. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye,
Bye. Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.